Hey everyone, welcome to another video by Singularity Computers. This is Singularity Hardware Order Analysis video 14. Almost all of this hardware is for the upcoming Client Build 5. Starting from the left hand side, I have the Asus Rampage IV Extreme. Above that I have the Lamptron FC5 V2 fan controller. I have an Intel Core i7 3960X, a Kingston HyperX 240GB SSD, a kit of Corsair Dominator GT, and behind that I have an EK Supreme HF nickel plexi water block. Next to that I have two BitsPower D5/MCP655 mod kits for water cooling pumps. I have a whole bunch of Bitfenix Alchemy extension cables, and behind those I have some ModSmart fan grills, and also underneath those I have some Silverstone dust filters. Up here, hanging on my microphone stand, I have some Tygon Tubing, and behind the Tygon Tubing I have two black ice radiators, a 280mm radiator and a 560mm radiator, and they're both the GTX Gen 2 Extreme. So now it's time for me to bring you in for a closer look at these components. Okay, I'll start with the Bitfenix Alchemy cables. So these are all black, and I have quite an assortment here. Some of these I might be using in Client Build 5. The rest of them will be going into stock. So you can see I have some 8-pin PCIe fan cable extensions. They're the 30cm ones. I have some 12-volt 3-pin splitters, from a Molex to 3-pin fan cables. Some USB extension cables. They're 30cm. I have some Molex extension cables, 45cm. And yes, some 60cm 3-pin fan cables. Moving on, I have some Silverstone dust filters. These are the 120mm dust filters, and these are the 140mm dust filters. These ones are actually magnetic as well, but they're a great dust filter. They have a fine mesh, they look great. They also work on radiators because the mounting holes are right near the edge, so you can actually put them right next to each other in a 15mm spacing on a radiator. So yeah, they can be used in a lot of different configurations. ModSmart black fan grills. I have some 120mm and 140mm fan grills here. So yeah, all of these 140mm dust filters and the 140mm fan grills are going to be used in Client Build 5. The 120mm dust filters and fan grills are going into stock. Moving on to the BitsPower D5/MCP655 mod kits. Now I actually have these exact mod kits in Singularity Beast 2, so I'll just give you a quick look around the packaging, and then I'll give you a look inside Singularity Beast 2. So that shows you there how it all goes together. They're very easy to install. I might actually be doing a separate installation guide where I talk about what these mod kits are for. They're not just for aesthetics, although they do make your pump look a lot better. So here they are. You can see how they screw onto the back of this pump top. This is the BitsPower D5 Top X2, and there's also a single pump version of this pump top that is very similar. Basically, the pump is inside the mod kit here, and then the entire config just screws onto the pump top with the pump inside of it. You can see the wiring coming out the back of the mod kits there. Next up, the EK Supreme HF nickel plexi. So I've got one of these right here in Singularity Beast 2. It's actually got two 3mm red LEDs in it. So that's the exact same water block. These actually come in, there's a few different versions. You can get different coloured plexi, you can get, you know, like a full copper, or there's even a gold one, so there's a lot to choose from. They're also an excellent water block. They're one of the highest performing CPU blocks on the planet. So I'm going to be using this water block in Client Build 5. Next up, the Lamptron FC5 V2 fan controller. I actually have this exact same fan controller running right here in Singularity Beast 2. This is something that I'm able to say quite a lot. As you can see, I have two of them. And the good thing about these fan controllers is that you can change the colors. You can see I'm running red here at the moment. There's a lot of different colors to choose from. Alright, the Kingston HyperX 240GB SSD. So it has 555 megabytes per second read and 510 megabytes per second write. It's a SATA 3 SSD which runs off a Sandforce controller. Not much to look at there, but you're going to be seeing this SSD coming up in the Client Build 5 build log. I'll be taking a good look at it. There will also be performance results at the end of the build log, and this SSD is actually going into a RAID 0 configuration. Next up, the Corsair Dominator GT memory. This is a 16GB quad channel kit of 2133 MHz DDR3. It runs at 9111027 1.5 volts. Now I actually have the exact same kit as this running in Singularity Beast 2. And this kit will be going into Client Build 5. I'm actually going to be water cooling this kit of memory in Client Build 5 with the EKRAM Dominator water blocks, and I will probably be doing the same thing in Singularity Beast 2. This memory is actually really easy to water cool because you just pull off the stock heatsinks on the top here, the red parts, which is just a matter of undoing 3 Allen key bolts, and then you use exactly the same Allen key bolts to bolt on the water block. And yeah, it's just a matter of putting some TIM down, and then the water block just goes straight on top. So it is very easy to water cool, but water cooling can often be very unnecessary for memory. I mean, you're not going to need it unless you're doing some serious memory overclocking, which not a lot of people do. Alright, the Tygon tubing. So this is the 1/2 inch clear tubing, and this is some of my favorite tubing because it looks great, it has a nice gloss finish. It's also incredibly flexible and soft, so you know it's easy to get onto the fittings and bend around in impossible corners. It's great tubing. I try to use it as much as possible in my builds. Next up I have the Intel Core i7-3960X. This is a 6-core CPU manufactured using the 32nm process, and it has a 130 watt TDP. It runs at 3.3 GHz, turbos to 3.9, and has 15 meg of L3 cache. It also has an unlocked multiplier, which makes overclocking a lot easier and often means you can push a CPU a lot further. This CPU is for Client Build 5, and I'll be giving it a substantial factory overclock, which I will be showing in the Client Build 5 build log. Okay, the Asus Rampage IV Extreme. I have a review on this motherboard, so I'll put a link on the screen to that review. I also have a review on the Asus Rampage IV Formula, so I'll put a link on the screen to that as well. I will just give you a quick look at the Rampage IV Extreme because I have it right here in Singularity Beast 2, although you can't see much of it thanks to the graphics cards and water cooling system, etc. But you're also going to be seeing this motherboard coming up in Client Build 5, so yeah, you'll get another quick look at it then, but I suggest checking out the review if you want all the details on this motherboard. Okay, finally the Black Ice GTX Gen 2 Extreme, and I have the 560mm and 280mm versions. These are both for client build 5. I'm going to be installing both of these into the bottom compartment of a Silverstone Temjin TJ11. I also used the 560mm version in client build 4. So I'm not going to be giving you a look at these radiators yet. You can check them out in client build 5. I'll give you a detailed look at them in the client build 5 build log. But I will just quickly give you a look at the outside of the box. Here it is. I just wanted to show you this because it has the thermal performance of each of the Black Ice radiators, and you can see there the GTX 280, they say 1100 watts recommended capacity, and the GTX 560 2350 watts. So pretty amazing. They certainly are some extreme performance radiators, and two of these together in client build 5 are going to be amazing. Anyway, that sums up this video. Thanks for watching. Please subscribe, like and favourite if you want to see more.